Australia, a country so vast it stretches wider than the moon itself, bigger than all of Western Europe combined. Yet here's the shocking truth. 95% of this colossal continent is empty. Think about that. While cities like Tokyo or New York overflow with people, most of Australia is silent wasteland. Deserts, ghost towns, and landscapes so uninhabitable that even satellites see nothing but red dust. So here's the mystery. Why is one of the richest, safest, most modern countries in the world still so empty? And maybe more importantly, what does this emptiness reveal about the hidden forces of geography, history, and even our future in 2025? Here's the paradox. Australia is the sixth largest country in the world, but its population, just 26 million. California alone has more people than all of Australia. England, smaller than some Australian cattle ranches, holds nearly 3 times the population. And the island of Java, 6 times smaller than Australia, crams in 6 times more people. So why hasn't Australia followed the same path? Why didn't its vast lands transform into a buzzing empire of cities? They call it empty land, but that's not what it feels like when you stand there. It feels watched, not by people, by the sheer scale of silence itself. In the Outback, the horizon doesn't end. It swallows you. There are no fences, no cities, no light, just raw earth stretching so far that your brain can't even measure it. Scientists from the University of Queensland once described this region as psychologically uninhabitable, not because of danger, but because of scale. Human beings evolved inside contained spaces, valleys, forests, rivers. The Outback is the opposite, a land with no borders, no cover, nowhere to belong. And the deeper you go, the more you feel it. A creeping realization that this place doesn't reject people by force. It erases them by indifference. Here's the first shocking detail. 90% of Australians live in just a handful of coastal cities. Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, bright lights along the edge of the continent. But zoom out and the rest of the map goes dark. Half of Australia's people live within 50 kilometers of the ocean. The other half, scattered across rural towns, mining sites, and cattle stations so huge, some employ only 8 workers to manage land larger than Israel. Imagine this. There's a region the size of France with fewer people than a small high school. So the question becomes, what makes the heart of Australia so unlivable? The answer begins with geography. Most of Australia's interior is the Outback, a massive desert system covering nearly 70% of the country. Rainfall? Scarce. Temperatures? Brutal. Some summers, the Outback reaches 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. And unlike the United States, where mighty rivers carve fertile farmland, Australia's rivers are weak, seasonal, and often vanish into salt pans. Here, water isn't just precious, it's survival itself. For thousands of years before the British arrived, Indigenous Australians understood something Europeans never did. The interior was not empty, it was alive. They didn't build cities there, not because they couldn't, but because they knew better. They followed water, not walls. They mapped the desert not with stone, but with memory, songlines so accurate they functioned as living GPS across a continent. When colonial explorers pushed inland, they ignored those ancient boundaries. Nature reminded them. Hundreds vanished trying to claim the red center, swallowed by heat, silence, and thirst. One expedition report from 1845 ended with just 2 words before the explorer died. Nothing grows. The Europeans thought they had discovered an empty land, but maybe the land had already chosen its limits long before they arrived. Why is it so dry? The science is clear. Australia sits beneath the Hadley Cell, a massive atmospheric circulation that pushes dry air down over the continent. The Great Dividing Range Mountains block rainfall from the east coast, leaving the interior starved of moisture. And then comes El Niño, the climate phenomenon that turns vast regions into ovens every few years. Rivers dry, crops fail, wildfires explode. It's no wonder climatologists call Australia the driest inhabited continent on Earth. So ask yourself, would you risk building a civilization in a place where the climate itself is your enemy? Australia's greatest weakness has always been water. Its main river system, the Murray-Darling Basin, is tiny compared to the Nile or Mississippi. In drought years, entire sections stop flowing. A 2024 report by the Bureau of Meteorology warned, water scarcity will remain the greatest challenge to Australia's sustainability. Agriculture here is a gamble. Thin soils prone to erosion. Even today, with modern irrigation, crops fail when the rains don't come. This is why Australia never developed big inland cities like America's Chicago or China's Xi'an. The land simply can't feed them. When Europeans first reached Australia in the 1600s, they called it barren and hostile. Dutch sailors nicknamed it the land that wants you dead. When the British finally established their penal colony in 1788, survival was precarious. Crops failed, supplies ran out, settlers starved. Only emergency ships kept them alive. Unlike fertile America or India, Australia had no great rivers, no vast forests, no rich farmland to attract settlers. Colonization here was a struggle against nature itself. Fast forward to today, Australia is among the wealthiest nations on Earth. Its cities rank among the most livable, and yet 95% of its landmass remains untouched. It thrives not by conquering the Outback, but by clinging to the coasts, ports, trade, and concentrated cities. So maybe the real question isn't why it's empty. Maybe it's, what does Australia gain by keeping it that way? Australia's emptiness is not just geographic, it's psychological. To live here is to live at the edge of the world, with a constant awareness that civilization is only a thin strip between the ocean and the void. Sociologists call it the frontier shadow, the silent reminder that beyond the suburbs and skylines lies a continent that never surrendered to human ambition. It shapes culture in quiet ways, a national instinct toward caution, resilience, and distance. Cities hug the coast not simply for comfort, but for survival. Because deep inland, the land does not negotiate. It doesn't welcome growth, it tests it. And that fear, that respect, that invisible boundary is what separates Australia from every other developed nation on Earth. Here in 2025, the emptiness of Australia looks even more unusual. The world is more crowded than ever. India passing 1.4 billion people, Africa's population exploding, cities like Lagos and Dhaka drowning under their own weight. And yet Australia remains a land of silence. Some analysts now argue this emptiness isn't weakness, it's strategy. A hidden vault of land and resources in an age where everyone else is running out. By 2050, scientists warn, climate refugees may number over 1 billion. Rising seas, failed farmlands, cities without water. And where will they go? Some point to Australia's empty spaces. Already debates rage in Canberra. Should the Outback remain off limits? Or should it become the last refuge of a warming planet? A 2025 Guardian article called it the Great Australian Dilemma. Emptiness isn't just geography, it's a political fault line. New projects are trying to challenge the desert. Solar megafarms stretching across the Outback, powering distant cities. AI-driven irrigation systems turning patches of red desert into green farmland. Mining towns experimenting with vertical farms inside sealed domes. But here's the haunting truth. Despite all this futuristic tech, the Outback remains stubbornly empty. It's as if the land itself whispers, "You don't belong here." Maybe Australia's emptiness isn't failure, it's prophecy. As climate change spreads deserts across Africa, the Middle East, even America, the world may begin to look more like Australia. Empty interiors, crowded coasts, fragile lifelines of water. In other words, Australia is the future, just unevenly distributed. So yes, 95% of Australia remains empty. But in 2025, that emptiness is more than a quirk of geography. It's a reminder, a warning, a paradox. Because while other nations struggle to cram billions into bursting megacities, Australia holds something rare, space. And the biggest question is this: will that emptiness remain Australia's greatest weakness? Or will it become its most powerful weapon in the century of climate, migration, and survival? If this journey into Australia's empty heart caught your attention, tap like and subscribe, and tell me what topic I should explore next.